Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Short Hops with Wichita Wingnuts manager Kevin Hooper. Short Hops is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the Wichita manager questions about the Wingnuts, baseball or sports in general, or just seek Kevin's insights about life or whatever's on your mind. This week, Kevin shares his insights with us about whether he believes those involved with steroids will ever get in the Hall of Fame. He talks to us a little bit about the NFL this past weekend, and Kevin shares with us one of the most memorable moments in his life related to bullpen catcher Patrick Murphy and his ability to have a big at-bat in the 2012 season. So let's get right to Short Hops. For again this week, Kevin, let's first of all begin with team updates and stuff you got going on for yourself these days.
Yeah, I actually had a fun weekend down in Florida with the South Florida Winter League. I got to go down there and work with the infielders a little bit and actually be able to do some recruiting, which I don't get to do a ton. So saw some good players down there. Actually, a couple guys I think that we might end up offering contracts and maybe a piece to our puzzle for the 2016 season. So I'm excited about it.
I saw that Frankie Reed was re-signed by the team.
Yes, we did pick up his option, and Frankie's kind of on the fence, I think, of what he's going to want, if he's going to continue to play or not. Anytime a guy ends a season on an injury, there's a good chance that you might have an opportunity to get him back, just because a lot of guys, if they're going to end a career, they don't want to end it like that. So, and Frankie is truly a guy, I believe, if we can get him going again and on track, he may not be here long, just because of the numbers he has put up, and he's been to the AA level. So I'm hoping Frankie, we can get him back and get him rolling again to begin the season, and hopefully he won't be here long.
Just as a follow-up to last week, we discussed a little bit about whether the schedule was ready or not, so we don't have an update on whether that's out at this particular point or not.
We do not. I actually spoke to Josh today, and hopefully it's going to be sooner than later. I think we're just waiting to tie up some things in the league and make sure everything's kind of set in stone.
Okay, excellent. So let's get to our fan questions this week. First, we'll begin from Dave from Wichita, who asks, what is your favorite part about managing in Wichita?
Well, Dave, I think there's a lot of things on that list. I think my most favorite part is being around my family all the time, my girls and my wife and my in-laws. And now that my dad's down here, my dad gets to catch 50 games out of the year, and that's pretty special to me because Dad was one of those guys that followed me everywhere I went in college. Even when we went on the road, he was there every weekend. So my favorite part by far is just being around my family all the time and them being able to see me do what I do and to be a part of it. And also, like I said, there's just so many favorites, just being able to manage 22 guys and to be a leader of them. And I take a lot of pride in that. And then from my ownership on down to the front office and including my clubby Cleo Welch, just being able to work with the quality people I get to work with for this organization is a blessing.
It's a lot of great things to enjoy about Wichita, I'm sure.
Yes.
Our next question comes from Mike from Sterling, who wonders, with the official Hall of Fame ballots out, do you believe the guys involved with steroids will ever get in?
I don't think they will. I really don't. Or I don't see it happening anytime soon, maybe while our generation's around. Some quality names on that list, as we mentioned last week, a couple quality closers on there, and Hoffman and Wagner, and some good names on there. And it's always interesting to see who gets in and whatnot. But it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be really tough, and I don't know what your opinion, Robert, is, but I think it's going to be really tough for those guys to get in anytime soon.
Well, I've always thought the only real shot for these guys was when the Veterans Committee vote. I didn't think the writers were going to let them. The Veterans Committee, is this former Hall of Fame guys that are voting later on, or I don't know the answer to that. It is, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that's what it is, and like you said, I agree with you. I think that might be their only opportunity, is if some of their peers maybe, that play the game, but still, that could be tough too. Those guys, got in doing it the right way and played the game a long time for doing it the right way and not cheating, and you never know what their thoughts are on that either. So hard to say, but I don't see it happening.
Well, talking with some of the owners who have become friends with former major leaguers and things, through the years and stuff, mm-hmm. It seems to me a lot of those Hall of Fame guys are completely against these guys as well. So
Yep. So. And that's what I figured. Yeah, exactly.
So, it's kind of like what you've talked about is, you worked and played the right way, and you could have cheated to have had a bigger career, but you decided to play it the right way. You don't want to reward some guy that did it the wrong way, for sure. So
absolutely, and it's just tough. It's tough to say how many guys that did it maybe that we don't even know about too. So it's just such a dark area in baseball that happened there for a bit.
Mike from Wichita asks, is there an age a guy reaches where you think that their chances of making it to affiliate ball are non-existent?
That's a tough question, Mike. Good question, but tough question. You hear a lot of stories of guys even maybe being 30. I was 28 when I got to the big leagues. Now, granted, it's a little tougher going from indie ball when you're not even in with a affiliated team. It's tough because you're going to go to an affiliated team, and it's going to take a little time with that affiliated team to get to the big leagues. When you're with an affiliated team, you could go up at any time. So I don't know. You never know. I think that I love hearing the good stories of those guys that were a little older that made it. But then you have your stories like Holtzcomb and David Peralta who got there really quick out of indie ball. So, I think once you get to that 30-year mark, right around there, it might be tough. But Colabella is another good guy, example, who played so long in indie ball and then went to Double-A and got a pretty quick opportunity in the big league. So there's some good success stories. It doesn't happen all that often. But once you reach your 30s, it's going to be real tough probably to get back to affiliated ball and then get a chance to get to the big leagues again.
You have a guy in your own team who was finally discovered at 27. And Scott
Richmond. Yeah, absolutely. Richie's another great story, and I've heard him tell that story a couple of times throughout the summer. And what another prime example of a guy who was a little bit older and finally got that opportunity. It's so much being right place, right time. So you never know. It's just a matter of a scout maybe being out there watching you and you doing well and just making those eyes light up and them talking to their upper management folks and deciding to give you an opportunity. That's what it's about, just getting an opportunity. And when and where and why that happens is so unknown in our game.
We have a couple of questions from Lucy from Hayesville. The first one is that she says she sees in a lot of games that something she's curious about. Has stealing signs gotten so bad that everything players say on the field has to be shielded behind their gloves? Are teams really looking to lip read that much?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about. It kind of came about, and then it just caught fire where guys would hold their glove up. It's kind of like me going to the mound and talking to him. I don't cover my mouth to do so, or Luke when he goes to the mound. So I'm not sure. I appreciate it, though, especially if they're going to curse, because lip reading these days with the slow-mo and stuff is pretty simple. And for kids' sake, if they're going to do anything like that, they cover their mouth for sure. But I'm not so sure about that. I think, like I said, that just kind of a habit that's come about where guys cover their mouth and try to be real secretive. But as far as I'm concerned, especially like our level from the dugouts, it's going to be pretty hard to lip read, even if you're standing in the box waiting for that pitcher to pitch to you again. It's going to be tough to lip read. So just a habit that came about, and everybody's doing it, it seems. So.
Am I right that kind of got started because that was a way that like the shortstop and second baseman communicated with one another about who was covering the bag? Like a guy'd have his mouth open or something?
And we did that as middle guys just, because you don't want to stand out. It was an open, closed mouth thing. You don't want to stand out there. And that's easy to see when your mouth's open, or it's closed, who's covering the bag. And I think that's just kind of more of a secretive thing that way without having to say a word or anything, just who's covering. So I'm not sure if that's how it started or not, but, it's become a fad, that's for sure, where everybody does it, catcher included a lot of times.
Lucy would also like to know, why are baseball players always adjusting themselves?
That's a funny one, Lucy. I think anytime you wear protective gear, especially in that area, it's uncomfortable. It's not the most comfortable thing. So I think that's my my easy answer to that is because it's uncomfortable a lot of times, and you're trying to make an adjustment to make it as comfortable as you possibly can.
I think it's safe to say, for Lucy's sake there, that there's lots of things a guy can do and still be comfortable, but there's certain areas that you got to be as comfortable as you can be. I would probably say so.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. No doubt about it.
Kyle from Topeka would like to know, he looked at some of the quality managers in the American Association and Can-Am League and doesn't understand why these guys are not considered for major league jobs. Hal Lanier was a guy who took the Astros to the playoffs. It seems to him that independent baseball prepares guys better for major league jobs than a guy would get from AAA or AA.
It's a good point, Kyle. And I really think that us managers in indie ball really manage a game. A lot of times you'll hear managers that are in AA or AAA, their lineup's made out for them, and you're still managing a game, but the lineup not so much. I think in indie ball, that's where the creative mind comes in, where we're making a lineup night in and night out. We don't have guys that necessarily have to pitch every night or every other day. It's more of a feel thing and what's going to help you win ball games. But I actually got to spend the weekend with Hal. He was down at that South Florida Winter League managing. What a pleasure it was. We got to go to dinner, and he's just a quality man, a good baseball man. It's a manager of the year one year. And, like you said, that's a guy that's been to the playoffs and has a lot of knowledge in the game. But a lot of times, it's big because I think like those guys that are in affiliated ball and a lot of times within their own organization. So tough question to answer, but you do never see it. You never see American Associate or Can-Am guy ever really go straight from here to the big leagues. So you need to see that happen sometime.
It seems to me, so you correct me if I'm way off base here, but it seems to me that players and managers from independent baseball just don't get the same kind of respect that you'd see at affiliate ball. Am I off on that, or?
No, I don't think you're off. I think there's a lot of affiliated teams that don't think a whole lot of indie ball for whatever reason. And to be honest, when I played and you heard indie ball, you didn't think much of it at all. But now it's grown and grown and grown, and it's grown so much even since I've been involved in it in 8 or 9 years, and it's just continuing to get bigger and bigger, I believe. And the stories of guys getting to the big leagues out of here are becoming a little more common now. And I think it's opening some people's eyes. But I always think that you're going to have maybe some organizations that just, close their eyes to it and don't think a whole lot of it.
That's really sad. Ben from Wichita would like to know, he hears you talk about numbers in the California leagues and how those can't really be considered like in other minor league systems, especially for pitchers. Why is that?
Ben, I never played in the Cal League. I've just heard many, many stories from anybody and everybody about how the ball flies there. That some of the ballparks are small. And just it just sounds like every place that you play, the ball flies out of the ballpark. And I've heard many, many stories of that. So I'm just going off of what everybody says. And if you look up numbers, you're going to see a lot of high home run rates. You find a certain guy that hit 20 in that league and never even come close to hit 10 in any other league. So I think it just goes to show you that the ball flies, and a lot of those pitchers' ERAs are going to be inflated.
Peter from Lyons asks, after watching the end of the Nebraska-Michigan State game, he wonders how hard it is as a manager or coach to let go of such a ridiculous loss in such a big game like that.
Tough. It's very tough. And it's not easy. It's really not, and especially when us as coaches spend so much time with those guys and try to prepare them the best that you can for any and all situations, and then something like that happens. It's tough. It really is. But you also understand that they're human beings as well, and they're going to make mistakes. And I say it all the time, is all I can hope for as a manager when we make big mistakes is that we learn from them, and then it doesn't happen again. And that's really all you can ask for as far as I'm concerned.
Our series of NFL questions this week begins with Devin from Oklahoma City, who wonders, halfway through the season now, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, and who would be your league MVP?
No question, the MVP is Tom Brady. I think that's a no-brainer. They're undefeated right now, and I mean, this is arguably the best first half I've heard that he's ever put together. So, he's 38 years old, and I think that he's he's better than anybody and everybody could expect right now. And I know he keeps talking about he's going to play 10 more years. And I think this is a double whammy because I picked them to win the Super Bowl as of right now, too. They're pretty spectacular. I'm a big Belichick fan of just the way he goes about his business, the coach that he's become, the system he puts together. And, you know, he's kind of a no-nonsense guy as well. He doesn't put up with a whole lot of off-the-field issues. It's one of those things, if you're going to be a problem off the field, you're probably not going to be there very long.
The interesting thing is it's not even that he seems to not put up with off-the-field incidents. You never even hear about them. It's like, you know, the guys just understand that doesn't go on here.
Yeah, so. That's a big respect thing, I think, not only from players, but, colleagues as well. And me being in my position, I've got a lot of respect for that man and how he goes about his business and just the organization and how they do things.
Thomas from Wichita, on with one of the other undefeated teams, wants to know if you think it is time that people start taking the Carolina Panthers a little more seriously.
I'll tell you what, they've snuck out to another undefeated start as well. And Cam Newton is a heck of an athlete. And what he's able to do, not only throwing the ball at runner as well. They can play some really good defense too at times, and you put those two together, and you're going to have yourself a good chance to do things. And yeah, I absolutely think that people are going to have to start taking them a little more seriously. And, you know, we're halfway home, and it'll be interesting to see how they finish out. But as of right now, they're looking really, really good.
Our next question comes from Chiefs fan who's piped in with Kevin here a few times over the last few weeks here. So he'd like to know, at this point, would you rather see the Chiefs fight for a playoff berth or build for next season?
I hope they fight. I would always answer that way. I like guys and teams who fight. You know, they're 3-5, and if they can make a little run here, you never know. So I do hope they fight. You know, at the beginning, I know we were saying when they were 1-5 that, hey, one way or another, let's make a run or let's go south and get a good draft pick. But they've rattled off a couple wins in a row, and I hope they can keep going.
Weren't they 10-1 at one point last season? Am I wrong with that?
You know, I'm not positive. Yeah, I believe they got off to a heck of a start last year. I know. I'm not exact sure on the numbers, but it was a really, really good start. So let's hope they can go on a run and finish like they did at the beginning of the year last year. But not having Jamal, I know West has stepped in and done a good job for him, but not having Jamal and the lack of receiving options at times is kind of hurts. But you know, like I said, hopefully they can fight and find a way to get through it and make a run.
Absolutely. Henry from Wichita wonders from you, do you see the victory over the Broncos getting the Colts going?
I'm a big Andrew Luck fan, another guy who goes about his business the right way and is a hard worker. And I love that about anybody. You can just tell that he goes about his business and works hard at his craft. And I appreciate that, and I really respect that. It very well could. I know a lot of a lot of fans, and I'm sure a lot of teams in the league expected them to do a little better than they are. So I know they changed offensive coordinators this last week, and hopefully Luck can get rolling because he starts that whole process there. And same thing, you know, that they can get going and make a run because Luck's definitely a guy that I like to root for.
Our next couple of questions come from Steve from Manitoba. The first one says, Kevin's managed for 7 years in the American Association. He has the second most managerial wins, the most playoff appearances, the highest winning percentage, and the most Manager of the Year awards in league history. Would it surprise you to know that you're the second youngest manager in the league today?
Those are some stats thrown out there, Steve. Steve did his homework for sure. You know, I know Steve's got the next question as well, and he did his homework there as well when we get to that. But no, just even hearing that stuff, you know, what a blessing. What a blessing it's been here, my time here. I've got a wonderful staff, as I always say, my front office staff, our owners. It's a team effort. And I know the question was, would it surprise me to know that I'm still the second youngest manager in the league? I mean, I like to think that I'm still young. I feel young, so I guess it's not a huge surprise. I'll be 39 here in December, and you know, pushing that big 4-0. But I definitely feel young and feel fresh, and as long as I'm feeling that way, I guess that's a good thing. So, but like I said, that's those are some feats that I don't create or do by myself. All those awards and the highest winning percentage and all the wins and winning all the division titles in a row. It's a team effort. No, I know I get a lot of credit, like I tell my guys and my staff for it, but I can't do it without a lot of people around me.
It's interesting. Tom Brady looking for another MVP at 38, and you just 39, Kevin.
How about that? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, see, so
I tried.
He can still go out there and play the quarterback position really, really well. So I definitely still feel plenty young.
Get Kevin back out there at short this season.
Yeah.
Our next question from Steve asks, which was more memorable for you, meeting Bill Murray during a pitching change in the 2008 All-Star Game, or longtime bullpen catcher Patrick Murphy getting an at-bat in 2012?
This is an easy one for me. As awesome as it was, meeting Bill and just hanging around him for that All-Star Game, giving Patrick Murphy, signing him to a one-day contract, and giving him an at-bat is something that man will never forget and that I will never forget. And I was honored to be able to do that for him. It's one of those situations a guy puts all the time in on his own, wants nothing from you, wants nothing from the organization. He just wants to be a part of it and help out any way he possibly can. And that was my reward to him. It's a shame because I think that some stuff was said after that some people didn't agree with that, and I honestly could care less what anybody thought about it because I know what he puts into our organization and the time he puts in and my feelings for him and vice versa and the respect he has for me. And to be able to do that for him and reward him with that was one of the most special moments I probably had as a manager. And I'll never forget it. And I know Murph will never forget it as well. And just a special day. And being in the position I am, as I say a lot of times, that's something I feel right there that I'm able and have control of, that I can reward a guy for. And I was able to do that. Happy as could be that I was able to do that. So,
this is one of those kind of situations when I hear that, you reach out and do something really special for a guy that's really worked hard for you for the longest time. And there are those that complain about that. You were asked a question earlier in the year, I think, that somebody asked you if there was somebody you wished that would stop talking or would shut up. And I think, well, there's your answer right there. Anybody complaining about something like that, there's the top of the list.
Yeah. And that's okay. We've talked about many times on this show that everybody's got their opinion about things, and everybody's going to have their opinion, and the media and others have a job to do. And a lot of times agree or disagree. I've understood a long time ago. I've got some staff members that get fired up about some stuff that's said at times, maybe if we're not playing well or it's said about one of our guys individually. And, me as a manager, I have to remind my staff, and I get it. I was fortunate to play a long time now. I've managed a long time. I feel like I'm a realist. I minimize tough situations and try to think about them and make the most of them. And those are situations that's their job, and I understand that that's their job. And it's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be what you hear. And that's their job, and agree, disagree, or be indifferent. It doesn't matter. That's their job, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that you agree with and don't. But like I said, everybody's got their own opinion, but that one didn't matter one bit to me. You could say whatever you wanted to. I know deep down inside that was a special moment, and I was doing right by that guy, just rewarding him.
Absolutely. Oscar from Wichita would like to know, do you find that current event things frequently find their way into the dugout? He looks at what was going on at the University of Missouri and wonders if that happens in your world as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they get into the dugout. I think instead of dugout, you could put clubhouse there. No doubt about it. Everybody has their issues, and stuff happens. I don't think maybe to that, it gets to that point and that big of a situation. But there's always situations that happen, and I'm answering the question, do you find the current events thing frequently find their way into the dugout? Like I said, I would say clubhouse. We're always talking about the real world and what goes on. We've never dealt with any big-time issues with anything, and nor have I been really a part of any big-time issues like that happening as a player. So in all of my years. Pretty serious situation that went on, and they definitely took a stand and stood up for what they got, and they were granted their wish. So just one of those wacky world of sports deals with, like you said, that the real world is a part of everything, and that includes sports. And a lot of times things like that are going to happen, and they're going to be blown up, in certain situations out of proportion. But obviously there was some deep thought into this, and when you get an entire football team, which is a lot of guys, to back it, you would think something serious is going on there, and obviously something that a lot of them didn't agree with, and they were going to make a stand for it.
Absolutely. Our last question comes from Ashley from St. Paul, who asked this question actually of manager George Samus up there in St. Paul. We're not going to exactly go along with the question. We're just going to give Kevin a chance to briefly give his answer. We're sorry for this, but it's the way the question was worded that we're not thinking is best to have on the show. But Kevin, why don't you just give her the rated G answer? We'll say.
Yeah, Ashley, if you're out there listening, which I'm sure you are, because I know George wouldn't answer, and I really didn't want to answer either. But Ashley, between you and I, we'll give you a little glimpse. You wanted the worst to least worst, and I think you got it right in order, except reverse the last two, and you're all set. But if you're in a situation with any of those words dealing with somebody, you better run as fast as you can. So there you go, Ashley. There's your answer.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, thanks for joining us this week.
Robert, thanks as always. Look forward to next week.
All right. We want to thank manager Kevin Hooper for joining us on Short Hops this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the Wichita Wingnuts manager, please send them to us at askkevin@minorleaguesportsupport.com. That's askkevin@minorleaguesportsupport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give the skipper a little time to review those questions before we record our show Monday night. I want to thank you for joining us this week on Short Hops. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Short Hops.